Hey everybody. So I want to talk about the Jesse Puljujarvi situation in Edmonton a little bit because it's pretty interesting what's going on between the player and the team there. Basically, for those of you who don't know exactly what's going on, Jesse Puljujarvi is a restricted free agent this summer. He has not signed any deal to play next season. And he has come out and said that he will go to Europe rather than re-sign with the Edmonton Oilers. Puljujarvi and the Oilers have had a very rocky relationship pretty much their entire time together. Puljujarvi was drafted 4th overall in 2016. He's still only 21 years old. And there's just always been a lot of friction between the player and the organization there. The Oilers feel that he has not lived up to the expectations of a 4th overall pick, which when you look at the numbers, he certainly hasn't. Puljujarvi feels that the Oilers have not handled him correctly and have not handled his development correctly and have just kind of mishandled him as a player. And there's a lot of friction and bad blood back and forth there. And the player clearly at this point does not want to play for the team. The team, I think, at this point, their best option is to trade him. And that's really what I want to talk about, is some possible trade destinations for Jesse Puljujarvi. So he said that he will go to Europe rather than stay in Edmonton. So he's not, at this point, I think he is done as an Edmonton Oiler. He's played over the course of 3 seasons. He's played 139 games for the Oilers. He only has 17 goals, 20 assists for 37 points. Obviously, very disappointing numbers for someone drafted so high. And I think that there's blame to go all the way around in this situation. I'm not squarely saying blaming Puljujarvi for what's happened. I'm not squarely blaming the Oilers. There's certainly, both sides have a case. If you're the Oilers, you look at that and you go, you've played almost 140 games in the NHL and you've given us 37 points as a 4th overall pick. 3 years, 37 points. That is not good enough. And the Oilers feel that Puljujarvi has not earned his ice time. He has not done anything to make them put him in the lineup, to make him play top 6 minutes. He hasn't been very good when he has played. Now, from Puljujarvi's standpoint, he hasn't been given the proper opportunity. The Oilers have stunk for most of the time that he's been there. He's a lot of times been forced to play in a bottom 6 role, which, if you don't give the kid is a goal scorer and the talent is absolutely there. If you don't give him the opportunity to play with other talented players, how much do you really think he's going to produce? Jesse Puljujarvi is not going to produce a 25 goal season playing on the 3rd or 4th line. That's just not realistic. He needs to be given a chance. He spent a lot of time in the minors. He showed promise at times. At other times, I think he's kind of struggled. There's blame to go on both sides in this whole deal. And I just think, honestly, the best thing for everyone involved would be just a split. Puljujarvi as a player desperately needs a change of scenery. And for the Oilers, you might as well trade him and get something for him, because I do not think he will ever wear an Edmonton Oilers jersey again. I just think he's done with that organization personally. So, where could he go? If you're looking to, there are plenty of teams that could certainly take a chance on Jesse Puljujarvi. He's 21, supremely talented, just has not been able to put it together at the NHL level, and is in a really tough situation with his current organization. So, I'm looking at 5 teams. I think there are many more than that could take a chance on him. But I think there are 5 teams that really stood out to me, that the fit makes sense, and they're teams that have shown in the past they're willing to make moves like this, where you could maybe give up something, sign him to a cheap 1-year deal, and give him a chance and see what happens. So the first team that comes to mind for me are the Chicago Blackhawks. Chicago has never been afraid to go after European players. Chicago has never been afraid to take chances on talented young players. And they're a team who, over the last couple of seasons, have gone through kind of a quick rebuild. They've added a lot of young players. And I think that adding Puljujarvi on a cheap deal would make a lot of sense for the Blackhawks. They're a team that I think is going to try to push for a playoff spot this year. Not sure if they get there or not, but they're certainly going to push for it. And adding Puljujarvi to that young group of talented forwards, I think could absolutely benefit the Chicago Blackhawks. And again, I think a change of scenery would be really good for the player. Maybe they find something and get 20 goals out of them. The next team for me that comes to mind are the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina, another team that has never been shy about taking a chance on young talent. They're trading for Teuvo Teravainen from Chicago, I think is a great example of that, where, Teravainen his last year in Chicago didn't have a great year. Chicago kind of gave up on him. He goes to Carolina, and now he's one of Carolina's top goal scorers. I think getting a guy like Puljujarvi could really help out Carolina, and this is a big-time lineup fit for me because Justin Williams not coming back. He's an unrestricted free agent, was not re-signed by the Hurricanes. Appears that he is not going back to Carolina despite a 53-point season last year. Leaves a big hole on the right side of that second line. That second line right wing spot, which was Justin Williams' last year, now open. Take a chance. Try Jesse Puljujarvi there and see what happens. You get him playing, maybe you move Puljujarvi up and play him with Aho and see if you can get a connection going there. Maybe that gets Puljujarvi going. Or you keep him down on the second line with Jordan Staal. Give him top 6 minutes. Give him a chance at the beginning of the season and in the preseason to see what he can do. You have that open spot on the right side. Puljujarvi makes perfect sense in Carolina, and they're a team that has shown that they are willing to make moves like that before. I just think it's worth a shot if you're the Hurricanes and could give you some really solid offense if Puljujarvi ends up there. I think you could see that be a good fit that could push him to the next level and actually, give him a decent season in the NHL. Another team from the Eastern Conference that makes a lot of sense to me is the Columbus Blue Jackets. There's no doubt that Columbus has lost a ton this offseason, losing their Vezina goaltender, Bobrovsky, losing their top offensive player in Artemi Panarin, and losing Matt Duchene. They're a team that really a lot of people expect to have a very, very tough season this year. A lot of people, myself included, are really down on the Blue Jackets. They kind of went all in on last year, and they lost everybody. So they're a team that really doesn't have much for expectations. They're a team that's lost a lot of offense, losing Duchene and Panarin. And I think they're a team that could absolutely take a chance on a guy like Puljujarvi and just see what happens. Listen, it's probably not going to be a good year for the Blue Jackets anyway. Why not just give it a shot? Maybe he comes in and the talent comes through and you get 25 goals out of him playing on the second line. See what happens. There's really not much to lose in Columbus because they've pretty much lost it all already. So I feel like Columbus is a team that could kind of take a chance like this and it would make sense. Another team I think Puljujarvi could be absolutely a benefit for is the San Jose Sharks. The San Jose Sharks have lost a lot this offseason as far as scoring depth. They've lost Joe Pavelski, who's a huge loss. The Sharks, when you look at what their lineup looks like right now, they're a shell of their what they were last year. It's not looking great. I think adding Puljujarvi for maybe some secondary scoring could make a lot of sense for that team. And again, he hasn't proven anything at the NHL level yet, so he's not going to require a big contract. You're going to get Jesse Puljujarvi re-signed probably on a 1-year cheap deal, maybe $1 million, $1.5 million, something like that. He hasn't proven anything at the NHL level that warrants more than that. He has 17 career goals. So I think at this point, if you're a team, you're just giving him a shot. And San Jose, I think, is a team that could do that. They aren't in a great salary cap situation, which means they need cheap deals like this. And I think he could potentially give them some secondary scoring that they desperately need this coming season. And lastly, the fifth team is the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils have made a ton of changes this offseason. They've pretty much overhauled their entire lineup. And they've added so many new players. They've added young players. They've added veteran players. Why not continue to make moves? Why not take a chance and add someone who clearly has talent but hasn't been able to put it together yet? You can get him playing on this in the top 6 there, which, on that right side. That right side in New Jersey is pretty open. Wayne Simmons is a guy who can move up and down the lineup from first line all the way down to third line. Blake Coleman is another guy who on the wings I think is very versatile in that he can play up and down the lineup. So you have guys that you could move down if you wanted to give Puljujarvi a real first line chance. And I think that with all the changes New Jersey's made and where they're really going for it and trying to be a much improved playoff team this season, I think it's just something that would make sense. And they're not overly tight to the cap, so money isn't really an issue with the Devils. I just think that New Jersey would be a nice potential fit for Puljujarvi to get a fresh start, play with some good players, maybe hook him up with Nico Hischier on the same line and see what happens. But I think that could, certainly worth a shot if you're the New Jersey Devils. So Jesse Puljujarvi, I think, is certainly all done in Edmonton. That relationship has just completely soured at this point. He's threatening to go to Europe. He wants to be traded. He's an RFA. He doesn't have a contract yet for next season. I think it's likely that he does get moved. And Chicago, Carolina, Columbus, San Jose, and New Jersey are all destinations that I think make a lot of sense for teams that could give him a shot for various different reasons and lineups that he certainly could fit into. There are certainly more teams as well, but those 5 really stuck out to me as real possibilities and I think could be a good fit for both the team and the player. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. We are on our road to 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.